So this exercise is a way to make you very much aware of what's going on in the moment. And that's why I asked you to clear the decks, not have stuff in front of you. So very often when you're doing business or you're with a group of new people, you're scouting the landscape for what's going on. What do I think of them? What do they think of me? And basically, if you let it all happen, it tends to happen. So in this way, you get to concentrate just on the moment. And so this is an exercise in mindfulness. It means that anything we do, from washing our face to signing your name, to all the things that you take for granted in life, pay attention, because something may be happening under the surface. And that's what I was talking about earlier, when you're with somebody and you kind of notice their body language changes, or they're getting too close to you, or the tone of voice changes, or they're looking at their BlackBerry. Something in the landscape is happening. And if you start to pay attention to these little details, it really will make a difference in the relationship that you're able to develop. And other people will sense it. They may not know what's going on, but they'll be able to sense it. A bag of raisins. I would like you to select a raisin from this bag. This is not just a take any raisin. Really make it.
Don't put it back.
No, don't put it back. Make a conscious choice.
Why don't you take one?
Because I have to videotape.
He's doing another job. So when you're picking it, you may want to think about the color of the raisin you picked, the size of it. Do you like the great big ones? Do you like the cute little ones? There's some are darker, some are lighter, some are more textured than others. Now, the reason that we are using raisin in this exercise is because most people, and don't eat it, it's because we definitely take raisins for granted. You may, sprinkle them in your oatmeal. You may have a raisin cookie or a cake, but you rarely spend time just concentrating on one of these things, right? So I would like you to actually now meet the raisin you have selected, and you can feel the different texture. See, it's a little bit sticky. One side looks really different from the other side. And if you want, you can actually think of the history of your raisin, going back to the time when it was a grape. Probably these are organic from Trader Joe's, so maybe it came from California. It was just laid out on a tray and dried in the sun or in some kind of drying plant, obviously with no preservatives. And as you examine this raisin and get a little bit closer to the source of this raisin, I want you to think about, so it's in between meal times. Does just having the raisin around make you think about eating? You just had a long conversation about calories and what kinds of things you put into your mouth. So eating mindfully and actually thinking about one tiny thing going into your body can make this difference. You can also really enjoy your food more if you start to think of it in a mindful way. You can enjoy a relationship with somebody even a little bit more, even in a business setting, if you begin to think of what's happening between you as this evolution and development of what's going on. So now I'm going to ask you to take the raisin and just brush it along your bottom lip. Do not put it in your mouth.
Tease.
And then you can use your tongue and just sense what it's like to have that sweetness. You really never think about the sweetness that way because you're in the middle of eating it, right? And you can put your tongue on your upper lip and see that you don't have the same sensation. You don't have that stickiness. You don't have that sweetness, right? Okay, you are now allowed to
devour.
No, no devour. So you're going to put it in your mouth, and I'm just going to ask you to leave it there as though it were a lifesaver, something to suck on, right? Now, you will also notice that even if you're not particularly hungry, doing this has activated your saliva and the anticipation of something you are going to chew, right? And that happens to us all the time, but you never pay attention to it. Why would you? You're busy stuffing your mouth with something. On the other hand, having this one raisin in there, the explosion of sweetness and tartness at the same time is kind of different, isn't it? to experience this. So see what happens as you move this raisin around your mouth. Allow it to go around your tongue and your teeth and your gums. And just think about what it's like to allow this tiny little thing to expand your sense of taste and your sense of awareness of something in your mouth. It's not a pebble, it's not a gumdrop, it is in fact a raisin. You have to concentrate on that, right? I am now going to ask you to chew the raisin 3 times and stop. So you've had this explosion of flavor that comes with a raisin. I'm hoping that most of you like eating raisins. But the other thing is, but wait, because the anticipation is so great. It is. It's so great that it's hard to stop after 3. You know, like you bet you can't eat just one.
Right.
Bet you can't chew just 3 times. So now I would like you to try and chew this maybe 20 or 30 times and see the difference between paying attention to this tiny little thing in your mouth and what we usually do with food, which is to race through the experience. Okay? And remember, this is a raisin that you consciously chose. A lot of people say that. Right. After you have chewed, you may find that you have to swallow some of the saliva, right? But really make sure it is so well chewed there is no trace of the wholeness of the outside, the skin of that raisin anymore. And when it's finally really chewed, you may swallow what's in your mouth. But the interesting thing about raisins is that tiny little raisin bits remain. And you may actually find in the next hour that you're still tasting a little bit of this raisin, that it's still with you. And that consciousness of what you did, you made an actual conscious act to eat that. And it's still part of you. So you may think about, what is it like to be 1 raisin heavier? To feel that you consumed, I mean, I think this is probably what happens to vegetarians and vegans, thinking so consciously about what it would be like to not eat meat anymore, because you'd be preserving life. But maybe you'd be preserving a carrot or preserving a Brussels sprout. Here you have taken into your body a raisin and made that part of you. Yeah. So, how can you use this in daily life? When you go home tonight, whether it has to do with eating or not, just take some activity that you usually race through, whether it's brushing your teeth or feeding the cat or dog, and make that a really conscious act. Take every step, whether it's the opening of a can or the squeezing of the toothpaste, take everything and put a period at the end of it, and see whether the activity means more to you, becomes more enjoyable, more conscious, and more part of you. So thank you very much for coming today. I hope this was helpful.